All right. A very good morning to our guests here present here today, this morning, on a Saturday morning. And first of all, thank you very much for coming here, attending this session. An interesting topic that is lined up for all of you, that is work-life balance. This is an initiative by five coaches who have come together for a common cause to highlight topics that really matter to us. Last week, we came up with a topic, an interesting topic called addiction. And this time we are back yet another time with an interesting topic, work-life balance. Now in the world, there are traditionally there have been two types of people in this world. One who work for a living, and the second one who live for working. Since early 2020, there is a third category that has come into existence. Work for a living from home. Work from home is now a household terminology. Although initially it sounded like a fashion statement, slowly people understood that it was eating into their personal space, thus disrupting the work-life balance. In this 10-week series, we aim to discuss topics that affect different facets of our life. And today, with this important topic, work-life balance, we're going to shed some light on various aspects that has been affecting our life. While the world today is caught in this dilemma, we're here today to discuss the cause and effect and shed some light on what one can do to ensure the balance is maintained. To take the discussion forward, we have with us five wonderful coaches who have come together. And I'd like to take a minute or maybe 5 minutes to introduce all of them. And I'll begin with Coach Uzma Golandis. Uzma, please say a hi. So that, yeah. Coach Uzma Golandis is a certified ambition and unambiguity coach who is extremely passionate about helping people with issues that stand between them and their success. Being an English language trainer and a personality mentor, she also focuses on confidence and communication related matters. She's a postgraduate from London and currently lives in the UAE. Coach Arif Hussain. Hello, Arif. Coach Arif Hussain is a certified mindset and performance coach, an author and a fitness enthusiast and a mentor. He's a devoted family man and has been associated with the healthcare industry for over 20 years. He guides working professionals between the age of 25 to 45 to achieve their health and professional goals. Coach Hemant Jain. Hello, Hemant. Hemant Jain is an unblocked coach and hails from Mumbai and is currently living in Dubai. He has been a change management consultant and trainer with over 18 years of experience and has worked in multiple countries and industries. He worked with large organizations undergoing transformation while focusing on the people side of change. With the experience of helping people in organizations manage change, he has now taken up the challenge of much deeper change management at an individual level. He helps professionals who find themselves stuck inside glass walls and glass ceiling. Hemant helps them unblock themselves to go higher and further in life and career. I, Jyotika Shetty, am a strategic life coach, an international author, certified trainer, and an image consultant, helping people achieve their next level performance. I hold an MBA degree from Manchester Business School and an experience of over 20 years in corporate banking and entrepreneurship. Last but not the least, our keynote speaker, Mohammad Syed. Can we have a big smile, Mohammad? Syed, yes. Mohammad Syed, an MBA with over 3 decades of international work experience, a seasoned professional, author, and a certified Mindshift empowering coach. Syed is passionate about writing, reaching out, and actively engaging in guiding people to overcome their life challenges through Mindshift and transformation. But before I hand over the stage or the screen to Syed, I'd just like to interact a little bit with our audience, or rather let you know that the session is divided into two parts, or rather 3 parts. The first part is where Syed will be speaking, giving his thoughts on this particular topic, that is the work-life balance. The second will be a discussion amongst us 5 coaches where we'll be touching on different topics. At this moment, I request all our audience to please feel free to post your questions, and the questions will be taken during the end of the session. We have 15 minutes completely dedicated to you, where you can ask your questions, also post your questions. So along the way, feel free, keep it interactive. Please feel free to post your questions, although we will be talking to you towards the end of the session. So to take the meeting forward or the session forward, I would like to call upon our keynote speaker today, Coach Syed Muhammad. Over to you, Syed.
Thank you, Jyotika. I appreciate that. Is there anyone in the room who can say the COVID situation did not affect my work? Is there anyone in the room who can say my life did not change in the last 1 year? Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to you. We must have heard of something called house arrest. We used to hear of politicians going into house arrest. We never knew that one day we are going to experience that. And that's what we have been experiencing for the last year and more. Pandemic and the subsequent lockdown. Yeah, it all changed our lives, especially the way we work. We have learned a lot of new things. Men, including me, learned some new skills. You know what? When you take a broom, you need to move forward. When you take a mop, you need to move backward. Amazing. Newfound wisdom, guys. Jokes apart, we can probably call this a year of Zoom burnout, work-life disruption, healthcare profiteering, and yoga ho ya shadi ka mandap. Sab kuch virtually hi hoga. It was about this time last year it all started. I feel good for a while. No traffic jams, no long hours of commuting, pure air, clean atmosphere. I could see for far distances green hills and clean green hills, and people found time to be with their families. And I saw especially fathers playing with their children. It was an amazing scene, pretty cool. This has kind of destroyed the myth traditionally that we have been believing that the person has to be at workplace for 8 to 10 hours a day to be productive. This turned out also be kind of defeat for those bosses who wanted their employees all the time right under their watchful eyes, because they believed only that can ensure desired output. Then there were those over-enthusiastic pompous characters who believed that the world will cease to exist if they don't go to work. Thankfully, all of it got busted. However, the warmth of working from home was short-lived. It slowly got heated up to the extent that now I think it's running at an overheat mode. The work that was elsewhere actually arrived right into your homes, inside your bedrooms, and now it is encroaching deeper and faster. It has gone to the extent, maybe you can say pati patni on end laptop, and that has become a kind of issue now. While some people have managed to adopt to this change, many are still struggling to deal with it. When it comes to individuals, it seems they are at the receiving end. But some it turned the world upside down because their jobs are gone, like janitors, drivers, street vendors. They have all gone redundant. And those who still have jobs, it's like work never ends. The reduced manpower has added the burden of extra workload on those who survived the acts. For the new recruits at the beginning of the career, for them the learning has become difficult. Like, when you are in the real work atmosphere, working next to an experienced guy, it's very easy for you to learn and move on with. But now working from home and learning, it's not that easy. It has become kind of difficult for them. They are missing that work environment basically. So this has created a kind of massive inequity in the society as well as in the businesses alike. Large corporates saved massive on office rents, utilities, perks, and yet managed to achieve their productivity targets. Some industries like healthcare have made insane amount of profits, sometimes even unethical, illegal. And some industries like travel, fine dining, auto spare parts, they went dead. They're like they had a cardiac arrest. So what was felt like a bone a year ago turned out to be pain. We have lost the work boundaries. A typical work day has gone totally fluid. There is no clue as to when the day begins and when it ends. Today, actually a study by Harvard Business School using a metadata of nearly 3.1 million people across the globe found that A typical workday is at an average 48.5 minutes longer. That means we are all working already an hour more. And companies like Microsoft have found that often they are working in the nights, through the lunchtime, and over the weekends. So that means there is no Sunday, there is no Monday, we are all working. I have seen this with my own eyes. Like my niece who works for a MNC in Bangalore, she says when she goes to office in Bangalore, she goes about 9:30 in the morning and comes back at 5:30. And the best part is work ends. Work ends. But here it is, she's working from home. She's working 10 in the night, she's working 5 in the morning, and your work never finishes. And same is with my son who takes online classes. There is a timetable, but actually there is no timetable. He can have a submission on a Sunday. He can have an exam on a Eid day. He can have a class 8 in the 8 p.m. He can have a class 8 a.m. There is no boundary at all. We have lost kind of orientation with the time. While we were crying for work-life balance, what actually we got is total turbulence. To make the matters worse, the tech-savvy companies are actually watching you through artificial intelligence. They know exactly what time you open the system, how long you have been in front of the system, and how long you're away from the system. And this data basically is they are collecting so that they share it with the HR. And HR is going to use this when it comes to annual reviews. And that period is really not good at the time. And especially, this adds a lot of pressure on people because it is never a good feeling that you know that somebody is watching you all the time. It's kind of robbing you of your freedom, liberty, even though they call it working from home is flexible. People started taking their mobile phones into the toilets. Now, mobile phones, we have incidences where they drop mobile phones in the toilets. So tomorrow, if they had to take laptops, that's going to be terrible. But of course, there is one advantage. They cannot drop the laptop into the toilet. Yeah. So there is a large part of world population who are not really equipped to work from home. According to a study, approximately 40% of the workforce can actually work from home. If either they are equipped or they are upgraded or they can upgrade. So that means this changes really doesn't matter to them. However, for the rest of 60%, they are at the risk of losing their income because these jobs may disappear. On one hand, organizational changes could actually result in some jobs are to be done from home for good. Like, in some universities now, there is no in-person admission at all. Everything virtual. So organizations have upgraded the ways to digitalize work and learning. Companies like Slack, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, they have emerged as popular fronts that offer a combination of work, space chat, video conferencing, social networking, file storage, distance education, all of it they covered. There could be a dramatic shift in the work style and the expectation. Broadly categorizing, there is a work that requires people to be at workplace. Like if you take essential services like the hospitals, airports, people have to be there. Then there is second category, the people who can work from home. And then there is the third one, which is I talked about before, 60% of the people who need to upskill themselves if they want to survive this work. Now, for the corporates, the newfound savings will be difficult to let go. It's, a tiger hunts to eat, but sometimes it happens that they can't find a prey. So they go hungry, they go weeks without food. So it is during that time they stray into human habitat and they attack human beings. And that time they know that it is easy to attack human beings, and that's how they become man-eaters. So that becomes easy for them. So the corporates now have found that this is a newfound savings. It is difficult for them to let go. So what will happen is this may result in offshoring work. Companies may provide good living and working environments so you can work from home in your own space. And this in turn can have a massive impact on the real estate market, can probably create new opportunities. We have individuals also, at individual level also, we need to upgrade ourselves and be ready, knowing the fact that jobs are always under threat. There is a transition. While the corporates have done and are doing all that is required to secure their interest and flourish in these circumstances, the employee mental health, stress, and well-being are definitely not the areas they are paying any attention to. There used to be a weekend, which is basically a kind of stress buster. You work for 5 days, you need some respite. But now people are robbed of this respite. People are working 24/7 a day. And there are areas like, high pressure areas where people work, like deep seas or undergrounds, where the atmospheric pressure is high. You're not allowed to work for more than 3 hours, or 2 hours, or 4 hours max, depending on the conditions there. Because that beyond that, it is not good for health of the individual. So similarly, a weekend that we had was a respite, but that respite is, now it looks like we don't see it. We are working through weekends. So you can, like I said, I have seen with my own eyes, people, youngsters especially, working 24/7. On one hand, people are already emotionally stressed with what is happening around them, because if you call anybody these days, there is a tragedy at the end. There's something or other that happened because of this COVID. On the other hand, their basic rights are being violated. Mounting work pressure, no time boundaries, and stress level going high. All of it has a severe impact on what? On families. Because now the work is happening from home. Before it used to happen at office, but now this is all happening at home. So this all has a severe impact on the families. And now families is what I call the fabric of the society. And if this fabric is torn, what we will end up is a torn society, and that's going to be dangerous. Now, with the year gone by, the reality is setting in, and there is a need for certain areas in employee-employer relationship that needs to box in the notion of flexibility, define that boundaries, and restore some real-time work-life balance. The work may be at office or at home. It has to be pleasure. Only then a great outcomes can be achieved. World may be eager for the pandemic to subside and the life to return to normal. However, that normal could be far from the normal that we left behind. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Syed, for that insightful keynote. Fantastic. Let's first of all give Syed a huge round of applause. Request everyone to either use the virtual key or your own hands to clap for Syed for that wonderful job that he has done. So first, before I begin or throw any question to the coaches, I would like to hear from, or rather, if you can please post it on the chat box, that has life indeed changed for you post-COVID is what I want to hear from the audience. Say yes or no in the chat box. Quickly type in the chat box if it's a yes or a no, if life has changed or not. Yes, Ayman says yes. Helen says yes. Krishnamurti says yes. So typically, I think Mamta says yes. Fantastic. So life indeed has changed for all of us. So from all what Syed has told us, Syed has touched upon literally every area or those little areas as far as work life is concerned. But there's one thing that I understood is that you have learned a lot of skill. And one of the skill is to handle the broom and the mop. Yeah, Syed? So I'm sure you must have done a great job at home. So I would like to hear from you, Syed, personally, how has life changed for you before COVID and after COVID? Thank you. Thank you very much to our audience for responding. Over to you, Syed.
Yeah, yes, being at home, what happens is it suddenly gave you an opportunity to be with your spouse and with your people 24/7. Before, you used to be away from home for 10, 12 hours a day. So this has kind of both gave you an opportunity to share. At the same time, it gave an opportunity for the relationships to mature 10x. Okay. And I think as part of the family and as a lead member, there's no harm in sharing. There's no harm in doing things. I mean, if you have to take a broom, take a broom. If you have to cook one day, cook one day. So because it's all your family anyway, it's your people. So what's wrong with it? I don't see anything wrong.
Agree, totally agree. And I think that also brings in the camaraderie between the partners as well. So let me quickly move on to the other three coaches to understand first, before I begin any questions, how has life changed for them before and after COVID? Let me begin with Coach Hemant Jain. Hemant, what are the additional skills that you have learned and how have you been instrumental at home?
Well, good morning, everybody. Lots of changes have happened, and I think a couple of things which definitely would have happened at my hand. I would really like to show this. So let me show you. This is one thing which has been a constant in so many of my meetings, right? While the meeting is going on, just below the visibility of the screen, a lot more has been happening. While we are talking of chopping competition in our meetings, there are other chopping also which happens. And yes, at the right time, my kid would appear. And on at least 3 occasions, while I was talking to the CXO and other members of the senior management, he would come running to me with a very simple, innocent request. Papa potty ai. Thrice. So yeah, has been through that, but yes, life has been very interesting in the last 1 year. It taught us many things, and we are still learning.
Yes, and I think I have personally witnessed that Hemant was once in the kitchen and then he could not switch on his video, and finally when he was forced to do that, he was in the kitchen cooking. Well, I think that's an additional life skill, right? That is important. Let me quickly move on to Arif and then to Uzma. Arif, how has things changed for you?
Hi everyone. So if you ask me, life has actually turned upside down. So my life has gone through a sea change from an outgoing person to a homely person now. So I used to travel a lot earlier. Like no day was such that I was not moving out of home. Now it is like I'm not moving out at all. And so my work requires to meet a lot of people. And now there are screens of different sizes between those people and me. Right. So this is the new normal.
Yes, we'll get back to you on the health aspect because we are not going to let you go without giving us a tip on how to be healthy. But before that, let me move to Uzma. Uzma, how has things changed for you?
Things have definitely changed because now I work from home, which means, as a working woman, I was already juggling my personal and my professional life. I'm sure that's true for everyone who works. But since COVID struck, I've been working from home, which means the expectations on the home front have gone up, and the expectation from the employers are always up, which means added pressure, more stress. So yeah, and obviously I agree with Hemant. Kids walking into into your screen space right when the moment is very, very crucial. Thank God I don't have any pets, because then that would be another thing to juggle. So
agreed.
yeah, and do not forget the dysfunction. I mean, the moment you move away from the desk, someone from work will definitely call you, and that is when the horror begins, because then you can expect that another such incident and you will be kind of mentally blacklisted that, oh, you're never there at your desk.
Yeah. And I think Saeed also rightly mentioned that corporates or your employers are also now kind of micromanaging you, or they are able to even monitor how much time are you spending in front of your laptop. So he also highlighted a very important point that family is the fabric of society, and the mother is a focal point or the center of any happy family or a family. So you being a mother and a working woman, how have you been balancing your life, your professional and personal life?
Initially, it was very difficult because even my husband was working from home, which meant unlimited rounds of tea and snacks. So though I am, I'm a trainer by profession and now a coach, I felt like I was also part of the hospitality industry, serving stuff all the time. Then finally we moved on to healthier options, which meant instead of going for pakoras which need to be served freshly made, you can switch to nuts or salads that can be prepared beforehand and kept in an airtight container or fridge. Okay, nuts obviously in the airtight container. Okay. So you can have them when and as you get hungry. You can prepare tea or coffee and keep it in the thermos. And most importantly, you can take turns preparing snacks and beverages. So the pressure is not on one person.
Yes, indeed. And these are those small little tips that is required, I think, for all of us to work smartly. Audience, please don't forget to put your comments on how you've been handling or managing your home and your work. So that will really add some value to the other members in the audience as well. So Uzma, one more tip that I would like to ask you is that, are there any tips that you would like to give to women at home? Because even women at home have to manage the men who are working. So that could also lead to some kind of friction and some, when they're really not able to handle. So what is the tip you have for women at home?
I think working women were already being described as superwomen because you are juggling two very important aspects of your life. But now I think we have moved on from being superwomen to Powerpuff Girls. So you have a separate personal life and a superhero life. Keep realistic expectations and go easy on yourself. I mean, show some kindness to yourself as well.
True, patience is very important, and that is something we all have to learn. I think if you've reached that level, then it's fantastic. But how many of us in the audience here really have patience when it comes to managing and getting stressed out? How many of you can really say that you have a lot of patience and you can really handle your work well and your personal responsibilities well? All right, I leave it to you to post your comments. Let's move on. Next in line, we have with us our coach, Arif Hussain. Arif, I'd like to ask you something here. Syed mentioned about employee mental stress as well as health, which is not taken care of, and not all organizations think the same way. And extended working hours could also multiply the stress. So what are the harmful health effects of such work-life imbalance?
So, Coach Jyotika, people were already juggling between work and life, and work-life balance was, much used term among corporates. Though there were, challenges, maintaining the equilibrium, and because of that, even the companies were thinking to shift from work-life balance to work-life integrity or integration, right?
Yeah.
So, that work pressure actually increases mental stress, and mental stress or health is the most used term during the pandemic from all the corners, in all the meetings around the world. So we have to understand that work is an integral part of our life, and our life and even the lifestyle overall are generally based on the kind of work we do, right? So health, whether mental or physical, is equally important, and we need to maintain work-life balance to maintain that holistic health. So one of the important questions which people should be asking themselves is why they are working, right? So once they have the reason why they are working, they would try to find ways how they can upgrade themselves or learn new skills so that they can be more efficient and can finish their work in a stipulated time. The second question they should be asking is whether they enjoy their work or not, right? If they are enjoying their work and have the right reasons for their work, the work will add to the life instead of robbing life, right?
Yes.
And once we find ways to complete tasks at hand on time, we will break the otherwise vicious circle of never-ending work and accompanied stress leading to erratic sleep, which actually leads to sometimes overeating and sometimes drinking habits. So those everything it's a vicious cycle and everything piles up. So our body is actually made to survive. If we keep things simple, it will find its way to remain in bad shape. So how can you simplify your schedule that you have to work out? Find ways, right? So I always tell a few simple things: that eat healthy food at right times, drink sufficient amount of water, sleep enough and at the right time. So night is for sleeping, right? So sleep at night. I understand there are jobs where you need to wake up at night because of different time zones, but still you can schedule some time. Exercise for at least half an hour, at least 5 times a week, and keep yourself active throughout the day, and have clear demarcation of work and other areas.
Yes. Very, very good thought, Arif. And I'm going to come back to you because I'm not going to let you go without showing us some really nice tips on how we can, implement that exercise in our day-to-day work. But before that, you said a very beautiful thing, that is eat, drink, and sleep healthy. That is very important. And the $1 million question is, why are you working? Ask yourself, why are you working? Now, while we're asking this question, why are you working? There is another important point which Syed raised, that is 60% of the people are not equipped to work at home, which means to say going forward, that is or maybe more, but 60% for now is a big number, which means we need to understand what is the future of work and what are the skills that people need to develop. And I'd like to take this question to our coach, Hemant, who's been in the change management profession for such a long time. So Hemant, according to you, what is the future of work? And how can people build their abilities to deal with this ever-changing work life?
Yeah. So Jyotika, as Saeed pointed out, 3 clear categories of work which we have discovered in the last 1 year: those who can work from home, those who couldn't work from home, and those who had to work irrespective of the pandemic, the essential service providers, the healthcare workers. People who could work from home, they started working from home. People who couldn't work from home actually in a large scale lost their jobs. So the last 1 year, 15 months have been really hard on people who have not been able to work from home. But I am not scared for them. In fact, they don't really need to be scared from the future perspective. A pandemic is pretty much from the last 3 centuries, once in a century kind of an event. It might happen once again, maybe in 50 years or so, but that's the extent. As soon as the times are normal, they will be back to work. The demand will rise again. They will find jobs again. I am worried about all those guys who have been working from home, because their life is going to change irreversibly in the future. So he clearly said out, organizations have tasted blood. They have had massive savings on account of infrastructural savings, travel, hotels, and all those associated costs. These savings are going to be very difficult to let go. So work from home is here to stay. Maybe not in the 100% mode we have been, but organizations will want to have their workforce working from home anywhere from between 30% to 70%, which means be prepared to work from home. The moment I say work from home, now you no longer need to be in the same city as your organization. So if you're living in a tier 1 city like a Mumbai or a Dubai or a Geneva or a Paris or a London, New York, you don't need to be there to continue to work. You can actually move, which means organizations will ask people to move, because in other places they can actually give a lower a lower salary. If you are not open to move, the job will move whether you move or not, which means people in tier 2 cities, 3 cities will get a opportunity to work for the same employers, and you might actually have to walk out of that, which means you really need to reskill yourself, be open to change, be very, very mindful of all these changes which are happening at your workplace, your organization. So future is not going to be very comfortable for all those people who are comfortably working from home now.
So well said. It sounds scary though, but let's see everything. I mean, the more we prepare ourselves, the more better we'll be able to handle it. So when you say upskilling, Hemant, what are those skills that you suggest people start learning? Something to do with what they're doing today, or something more than what they know?
Absolutely. I think the first thing which everybody needs to be doing, and everyone should have been doing already, is start doing your boss's job. Lighten his or her load so that you become indispensable for your boss. Because often the boss will be the one who will decide who goes and who stays. So that's number one. Number two, start upskilling yourself in terms of learning what all other roles are there to play in your organization. Extremely important. Become indispensable for the organization, not just your boss. Third, start learning some alternative skills which are different from your current industry. Look for industries which will continue to have the work from office or the work from the workplace culture. It will be a good idea to also develop in those areas. And of course, last but not the least, if you have really loved working from home, start figuring out the alternative careers you could pursue working from home. Number one, working independently without an employer. Digital marketing could be one. Online courses, delivering online courses and having a steady stream of income could be another. But you will really need to start assessing all these options and actually start working on them to have a backup plan, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, in case your primary job comes under threat.
Right. So true and so well said that I think one thing that we cannot ignore, that the digital space is here to stay in a very, very big way. And whatever we do going forward, we have to consider that digital has to be a part of our life, whether we like it or not. But of course, this also leads to a lot of stress. Stress means there are people who can handle it and there are people who cannot handle it. So Arif, I'll come back to you now. If you can quickly show us some tips, some exercises where people can do it even at home in a very basic manner, how they can handle it on a day-to-day basis.
So there are multiple ways. So as we discussed earlier also, that you need to move at least every half an hour. I'll show a quick 2-minute exercise which you can do
Sure.
whenever you want to, right?
Right.
And you can do sitting at your desk. So I will not make you stand up today.
Right. First, before that, let me ask our audience, is the audience ready? All of us are ready to listen to take the tips from Arif? Because only if you're ready, then we're going to give the tips. Can we have a yes in the chat box? Depending on the number of yes we have in the chat box, Arif is going to give you the tips. Ready? Excellent. 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 We need more. We need more. We're almost 25 here. Fantastic. Okay, great. All right, Arif, you've got your audience. Go ahead.
So are we doing it together, all of us?
Yes, why not? We will.
Let's do it. So, while working, so this is the weight that your neck is carrying, right? And especially that small spinal cord which is going through your neck, right? So for that, it's important that you have, strong muscles in the neck. Okay, let's start from there. So move your neck down, up. Okay. Again. So take at least a breath when you are at your extreme. Okay. Now look towards your left and look up. Okay. Look towards your right and now look up. Was you feeling a stretch in your neck? Now rotate your neck. This you can do at least 2 to 3 times. All these exercises. Rotate. On both, in the board.
Arif, we are discovering new muscles in the neck now.
So rotate in both the direction and do not jerk. Do not jerk at all. Right? Be slow. Okay. Now keep your neck straight and put your finger on your chin and pull it back. Front. Some people may hear different sounds when they are pulling your neck back.
Yes. Yes.
Keep your palms on the back like this while sitting. Okay. And turn left. Slowly, and then turn right. Come back. while sitting on the chair, keep your right hand on the left knee. You won't be able to see me now, but hear my words and do it. Okay, keep right hand on the left knee and left hand on the right hip and turn. Okay. Now same, left hand on the right knee.
But Hemant is searching. Hemant is searching for his hip and his knee. Are you, Hemant?
Yeah. So if you have found it, keep left hand on the right knee and right hand on the left hip and pull yourself back. Hold for a while. Okay. Now for your lower part, lift your leg up and hold. While sitting, just lift your leg up, hold for a while, relax, and then the second leg. Okay.
If lifting was okay, holding is the problem.
Yeah, so that will actually add strength to your muscles.
Right.
Now this is the last one.
Yeah.
And the simplest one. While sitting, okay, keep sitting on the chair and try to lift yourself up without even lifting. Okay, just try it and then remove the chair.
Wow, that's magic.
Okay, this should come with a disclaimer. Don't try this at home.
Well, all right. Okay, we'll try this.
Yeah, you can try and you don't need experts.
I've done it. Arif, done it. Here I am.
Wow, so that was Nawaz.
Yes. Now enough, long enough. I'm going to go back in my chair.
Okay, remove my chair.
So
All right.
keep doing this.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
I have a problem with my connection. All right, it's okay. So anyway, thank you very much, Arif. I'm sure it has been of great help to everyone. We're almost to the end of our session, but before we leave, I have one question for Syed. Syed, learning has been a fashion trend or whatever you call it. In fact, recently I also saw one lady had completed 81 courses in 1 day's time. Now that is worth appreciating. But I would like to hear from you, how much is too much? Is there a stop to it? Or what are the courses that people should consider? Or what are the factors people should consider while picking up these courses? Syed?
Yeah.
Can you hear
One
me?
thing good about what has happened in the last 1.5 years is that learning has become easy. Learning has become affordable. Okay, there's a lot of things available online, and some good stuff is also available. But then again, as you said, how much is too much, and what is right? So just because it is available and just because it is cheap, you don't have to do everything, and you don't have to also have to do just for the sake of having number of certificates if they don't add any value. So do something that adds value to you. So when you consider this, there are two things. One, that your career path that you are in. You are in a particular career. Do what adds value to your career. And the second thing is, sometimes it happens that people are in a particular career, but it is not what they really want to do in their life. They want to do something else. They want to be something else. So if they have such passion, do something in that direction, which fulfills your passion in the long run. Like here, what I mean is that there are things that are urgent and there are things that are important. These are two different. So you evaluate that quadrant properly. What is urgent? Generally, what happens is you will immediately attend to what is urgent, but that may not be important for you. So that is not ultimately what you want to do in life. But what is not urgent, but may be very important to you, because that is where you want to reach. That is what your ultimate goal is. So evaluate this quadrant properly achieves your long-term goals.
Very well said, Syed. I think each one of us needs to evaluate our wants and needs. And when you know the difference between your want and need, automatically our choices also will fall in place. With that being said, we have about 10 minutes to actually close our session, and I think it's time I move on to our audience. I first would like to see if you've posted questions, if there is anything more that you would like to ask us. Yes, Mayur, please go ahead.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're okay.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
So first of all, congratulations on this fantastic session. It was very insightful, and I wanted to this work-life balance is something that is very personal to me, and experienced it very like up close, because I've been 10 years in the business, and that at that point of time my life was pretty screwed up as far as my life was concerned. And then after, once my work shut, my life has got screwed up. So there is no balance. So my question actually to the Pathfinders and people, I mean, in general, always is: can someone attain actually a work-life balance, or is it just a myth? Because there can't be equilibrium. One or the other you focus on, the other will always get, it will get disbalanced. So if you focus more, your life will, become haywire. If you focus more on your life, your work will become haywire. And I frankly, I've always to believe that it's not possible. So that's my question.
Yes. A very, very, it's a very apt question, I guess, because there is nothing called as balance between both. So who would like to take the question? Hemant, Arif, Uzma, or Syed? Who would like to? Well, okay, I'll flip the coin now. Well, Uzma, please go ahead.
Hi, Mayur. I think it's a very it's a very valid question, of course. But this completely depends on an individual where you find your balance. Okay, because it's very subjective. There is absolutely no number that a person can give to themselves that okay, 5 has to be work and 5 has to be life, and 5 plus 5 is going to make 10. So it depends on how you put it. Also, I think this is something that will change with time in your life. A new business will obviously require and demand more time. Okay, same goes with when you join a new organization, because initially you're trying to form your ground and show to your new employer that I'm here to be a part of the team and I'm ready to give my best. Depending on those situations, yes. So I would say it's a personal balance, and you have to. There are some things in your personal life that you cannot do away with. So if your work is making you compromise on those things, then you are getting your balance wrong. Definitely, I would say that could be a criterion. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Hemant.
To begin with, of course, work-life balance is a myth. Doesn't happen. What you will have to do is kind of fight for creating those boundaries. I mean, since work has entered and encroached our homes, it's not a matter of balance, but it's about defining those boundaries. Now, one of the things which we need to fight for is essentially the timings, your office timings. Earlier, there was a clear boundary. You left home and you came back home. And then, of course, sometimes it encroached. But now that you are in home, work kind of expands to fill the 24 hours or 18 hours of your awake time, where calls, work kind of expand. So if you can create those boundaries, like 9 to 5, 9 to 6, and say, okay, no work after that, that can actually help you. I know we are in the same boat. We have been through that. It's difficult, but as I said, we will have to fight for it. Otherwise, work will just take over our entire lives.
Very true. I think we have to decide for ourselves how much is too much and create that demarcation. It's all up to us. So does that answer your question, Mayur? So I think harmony is what we have to look at rather than the balance, because there's, like you yourself said, there's nothing called as balance. It's just a myth. Thank you very much for that question, Mayur. Anyone else would like to ask a question?
Deepak had a question.
All right, Deepak, let's hear it from you. Did he post a question or?
Yes. There in the chat. I just posted that again.
Okay. All right, Deepak. All right. Deepak Gulati asks, I have seen a mindset of various organizations who feel that work from home is no work unless you report to the office. How do we address this, please? Who would like to take this?
I can take that. Okay.
Yes, Hemant.
Now, we clearly talked about there will be some work which can happen from home while others which cannot happen. Now, if you have identified some piece of work which can happen from home, but if your organization is not doing it yet, I think it's going to be about proving to them that there are savings involved in allowing that work to happen from home. That's number one, which is hitting the management. So if the management sees value in savings, which they can get from work from home for certain segments of work, they will definitely go for it. Number two, then the questions for productivity and all those things will come in, whether people will work for the 9 hours, 10 hours. Then, of course, now the education of the management as well as the managers will come in that work can still happen. You are interested in the amount of work and not the amount of time people spend in front of the laptop. And then, of course, giving them enough, a little of mindset change as well as the orientation on being open to the work from home of their teams. It also comes from this whole experience of having control over people who are physically in front of you to remote working. So it's going to be a slow process. Last year, the lockdowns enforced it and people were forced to experiment with it, which they would have otherwise not done it. But if you want to make that change, it will be a bit slow and gradual process. You'll start with 1 or 2 roles and then keep expanding. And of course, the leadership buy-in is the first thing. So a business case for savings is your best bet to getting work from home implemented in your organization.
Yeah, just another thing was that, is there a book basically which could be referred on this aspect?
I'm sure there are books which I'll get in touch with you over chat or messages, and I'll share the relevant books for you. But let me tell you, all the past books have talked about work from home in peace times, like in normal terms.
Exactly.
The last 1 year, the pandemic kind of pushed through things. So if a book is coming out now, post-pandemic, that will have the real insights which will be more useful for you rather than the books written earlier. But definitely,
I think
into a conversation and we can discuss this.
Sure. I think referring to the change management, this is one of the aspects probably which needs to be looked into and inculcated in the culture of the organizations, where people have to change the mindset and see.
Absolutely, Deepak. That is a topic on its own, and I think if we get into that topic, we'll never be able to finish this session. We'll keep that for the next session. Surely we'll take that as a topic of discussion.
Sure.
Thank you very much for that question,
Thank
Deepak. Anyone else has any question that you would like to ask our panelists?
Question Helen has just asked. There are industries like hospitality and healthcare which are greatly impacted by work from home.
So what is the question, Helen?
I have just repeated the question. So there are industries like hospitality and healthcare which are greatly impacted by work from home.
What's the question?
No, what is the question? That is a statement. Would you like to know anything specifically from there?
See, because the hotels, the flight industry, these are two industries which nearly were bankrupt because of the pandemic. No movement, no travel. As soon as travel and movement begins, they will bounce back naturally. Maybe not to the extent where they were making millions earlier, but they will bounce back definitely. In terms of healthcare, they had a boom time in the last 1 year where they were literally forced to work more than they were working earlier. So I think for them, there's no work from home. Their work has changed dimension, their volume has increased. So there's no threat for them as such.
Yes, and like Helen rightly mentioned, there's also a positive aspect to work from home. It's not only negative. There's certainly positive. We are able to spend more time with our family, more time with our children. The camaraderie between the partners have increased, husband and wife. You're not able to tolerate each other. That's different, but I think it also is a blessing in disguise. So would anyone like to add from the panelists, what are the positive impact of work from home scenario?
Yeah, I think to start with, at least it has added, it has saved certain things like unnecessary outings, unnecessary traveling, unnecessary hoteling. Okay, these kind of things has kind of resulted in a savings. Okay. And as I said earlier, it has also given a lot of opportunity for the people to rediscover themselves, establish their bondings to the next level, and build relations at 10x. Because living 24/7 together, you really discover each other and you really get to know each other. And that, I think, taking a relationship at a higher level.
Yes. So it's not the number of years that you have spent together, but the time, the quality of time that you have spent together is what matters. And thanks to COVID, I think, or the lockdown, that has given us that extra special gift. Is there any other question that that our audience would like to ask our panelist? All right. So thank you very much for all the questions that you have posted. Yes, Helen, do you have another question? People have changed careers, right? Is there a specific question?
Afreen is saying,
Sorry.
that's not a
Go ahead,
question,
Arif.
but Afreen is saying that there is NCW data which says the domestic violence cases has nearly doubled during this time.
True. True.
All right.
Jyotika,
Afreen,
may I say something?
Yes, yes, Helen.
Yeah, I mean, we've touched upon all. Thanks, Pathfinders. I think this was a great, very insightful session. Each one of you all have contributed so beautifully. But we've touched upon only all of the negatives. There are so many positives that have come out of work from home. I, for example, I'm into event management, and I used to always have this stage fright. I never ever wanted to be on the forefront of talking to people. But being at home, we organized the biggest event in HR, and I actually moderated 2 events which I would never have done and never dreamt of. So like this, there are a lot of people that have kind of had a positive impact with the work from home. Secondly, people have looked deep within, knowing that they are jobless. They've looked deep within to find other alternatives, and they've made a great success of it. People have looked within to explore opportunities and skills that they've had, which they never would have dreamt of, because they've been in a comfort zone 9-to-5 job, and they think that's their whole world. But people have moved on and taken up different careers. Look at us, for example. We've all become coaches. We would never have dreamt of becoming coaches. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely, Helen. Yes,
well. And
I
as somebody
totally,
rightly mentioned about abuse cases, yes, tons of abuse cases have been on the rise. Suicide has been on the rise. Abuse in all shapes and forms have been on the rise, because imagine living with a partner that you don't get along with, and then having to live with him 24/7 because he's not at work. So you get, spouses, either partner gets some respite when your spouse is at work, and then having to live with them 24/7. So there's a lot of pros and cons.
Helen, you just
absolutely,
gave away
Helen.
one of our upcoming topics, 24/7. We are going to touch upon relationships in much more detail.
See, Helen, what we're going to do is
what we're going to few areas, but I would have loved for you all to touch upon possibilities for people to kind of explore beyond what we are kind of literally struggling with, because that's a given. We all know, we are all aware what we are struggling with work-life balance, but having to come up with possibilities and insights on what else can you explore, I think would have added more shine to this entire discussion.
Absolutely.
So
yes, absolutely, Helen. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. We have several topics that is lined up, and I'm sure all of these topics are somewhere interlinked to each other. So we will be giving those solutions. This is just the beginning. We are just in our second topic, and we have more lined up. So please do attend and add value to the sessions. Having said that, there are positives, and that's the whole reason why we are here to discuss that behind every hurdle, there is a possibility. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's up to us to see that light and explore ourselves. It's about doing things, pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, and understanding that there is a whole world waiting out there for you to happen. But before we part, or before we leave this session today, I'd like to quickly ask our coaches your parting statement or your parting message to the audience amongst all the hurdles, all the gloom that is there around. What is that one takeaway statement that you could give our audience today? Let's start with Hemant.
Fight for your sharp timings for office, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, and be a family man or family woman beyond that. And of course, start figuring out and start looking for alternate careers if something were to happen to your current job. That's my takeaway.
Right. Thank you, Hemant. Arif, what about you?
So clear demarcation, clear boundaries for all the areas of your life, not just work. And while you go to sleep, keep your phone switched off. So there should be a start and finish phone timings as well.
Right. That's very true. Uzma, what about you?
I would say patience, because of rising expectations, patience levels are going down. That was already the case, but now I think we are more impatient than ever before. So have patience even with yourself. Balance, find your right balance. There are some things that you just need to do. Do not compromise on those, even in your personal life. And the sooner you strike a balance, the better it will be, because once you let the balance slip, once it tilts in a certain direction, it becomes very difficult to get it back up again. And I would say that's about it.
Right. Thank you, Uzma. Syed, what is your parting statement for our audience today?
Change is here, and it is going to happen at a dramatic speed. So I would like to leave them with a question that would you be ready for the change and implement it at your own convenience, on your own terms, or would you be caught off guard and get compelled to undergo the change that you have never prepared for?
Wow, that's fantastic. Very insightful. And that's for the audience to actually write down or rather I can say it's your homework. But as a parting statement, you got those messages, look for possibilities, have a clear demarcation between work and job, work and personal life, patience, that's very important. And the last question that Syed left us with is, are you ready for the change? Having said that, this has been an insightful session for all of us. I'm sure it's the same for the audience. Please join us next time. We have another interesting session that's coming up, and that's called as Zoom Bar. This is our flyer for the next session. And it's going to happen on June 19th, exactly at the same time. That's 11 a.m. Indian Standard Time. And let's Zoom bar together on that day. Thank you very much. But before we leave, may I request everyone to please switch on your video so we can quickly take a picture together. My neck is smiling. Wow, that's nice, Helen. Yes, Sagar, Prashanti, Afreen. Hey, Manshu, hi.
Hello.
Sarah, Afreen,
Prachi, Afreen, Sarah, Ayman. Puneet. Sahil.
Hey, I'm outside.
All right, no worries. No worries. Hemant, you're clicking a picture.
Waiting for one or two faces to come on video.
Sagar, Prashanti.
Guys, give us just 10 seconds of video. We'll take a picture.
Yes.
The video is going to be pathetic. I apologize.
That's okay. That's perfectly all right.
Saturday morning look, perfectly fine.
Sarah, Prachi.
He was there a while ago.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take the click now.
Make some noise.
Great, I have captured the click.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Hemant. And I'd like to thank all the coaches as well for such a beautiful morning. Arif has posted the feedback form. I would really appreciate if you could please take some time from your busy schedule to just visit the link and give your feedback of the session and how we can improve going forward. Thank you, Helen, for that lovely feedback. We are going to implement it as we go forward, and this is what makes us better, all of you guys. And therefore, please keep visiting us. Please keep supporting the Pathfinders and help us create an impact. And that's what we all coaches are here for. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. And you may now stay back to interact and network.
I've posted the link for the next session also, so you can register right away.
All right. Okay.
So Helen, you got up early in the morning. You're on mute.
You're muted, Helen.
Okay, let me stop the recording. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Please, for the recording, bye-bye.